This is NASA TV.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to NASA's Johnson Space Center. I'm Dan Hewitt, and I am joined today by Crew-5, recently returned back to planet Earth. Just to my left, we have JAXA astronaut Koichi Wakata, recently wrapping up more than 500 days career in space. NASA astronauts Josh Cassada and Nicole Mann, and all the way in the end there, Roscosmos cosmonaut Anna Kikina. They are excited to answer your questions. We're going to be taking them from reporters on the phone bridge and from social media. If you're on the phone bridge, press *1 to get into the queue. And since we're doing this virtually, please let us know who you're asking your question to. And if you're on social media, head over to Twitter and use the hashtag #AskNASA, and we'll get to as many as we can today. So we are going to jump right into questions. So off and running. We're going to start off on our phone bridge. Let's go first to Marvin Marshall with the nighttime news. Marvin? Nothing yet. Okay, I'm going to... Sounds like we just lost our phone line, so I'm going to start off while we get that reconnected. This one I'll start with Koichi. You've ridden back now in multiple different spacecraft. How did Dragon compare to some of your other re-entries back home to Earth?
Each and every spacecraft has its own uniqueness, and I really enjoyed this almost fully automated aspect of the spacecraft, and it's a really smooth ride up and down. And one of the different things that I saw on the spacecraft, the Dragon, is during the re-entry, I was able to see the plasma of during the atmospheric entry. So we had like a firework and then with the glow of the air for a long time. So I was able to enjoy the light show during the entry. It was really impressive.
And then for my 3 first-time flyers, what's that one thing that really stands out in your mind that you took away from spending? You were up there 157 days. What's maybe one day that if anyone asks you, what did you do up there? What do you remember? What's the first thing that pops into your mind? Josh, we'll start with you.
Boy, that is a tough one to narrow it down to one. I think the top 2 that immediately come to mind, one was late in the mission. I thought I was up earlier than everybody else, and I went to go use the restroom, and it turns out I was at least second because Duke was down in the cupola. And I heard her down there. She called me down, and we saw the most incredible aurora. It was absolutely breathtaking. We just went in there, and I'm sorry, it seemed a little selfish, but we just absorbed it. We didn't have the skill set yet. We hadn't consulted with Koichi about getting some photography done in that setting, but we just kind of hung out in there, and it was just so powerful. We did get some great shots the next day, but I really think that first day was just breathtaking. And then in terms of professional satisfaction, for me, it was our second spacewalk. For me and Frank, when we went out the door, when we came back in, it was just this overwhelming feeling of everybody had done their job. Duke had just done such an amazing job getting us out the door. Koichi flying me around and putting me where I needed to be to get the job done. The teams on the ground, just absolutely flawless execution. And we only could do it because everybody did their job incredibly well. And that, I wasn't expecting that kind of emotional reaction. The nice thing is tears don't run down your cheeks in space, so we just called it allergies when I was in the airlock, and we had gotten the work done, and our flight director, Zeb Scoville, got on the loops and kind of put it all in perspective. So those are the 2 big ones that pop out for me.
All right, Nicole?
Those were 2 big ones. I totally agree, and it's tough to choose. I think one thing that was interesting for me is towards the end of the mission, I went back and I read my journal from the beginning of the mission, like that first week. And it was so cool to remind myself of that perspective that I had those first couple days in space, that first time floating around in 0G and seeing everybody. It's something that I don't think you take for granted, but you get used to. You get used to looking out the window and seeing our beautiful planet. You get used to just floating around and tossing an M&M, to your friends when you're eating. And so it was fun to kind of go back and reflect on what that feeling was like in the very beginning. And then when Crew-6 arrived, it was cool to see it through their eyes for that first time. You know, when you get out there and you're floating around and you're kind of unsure and you're unsteady, and to see how quickly Crew-6 was adapting, to see how quickly they were picking up on, you know, all the maintenance tasks and all the daily tasks that we were covering during handover. You can see that journey in yourself and in your crewmates, how much you change during that time and how you adapt. And it was really nice, I think, just to take a moment and to appreciate that and have that perspective.
All right, now Anna, favorite memory.
Ну, первое, что меня поразило и впечатлило, когда я оказалась на станции, это то, вот как только мы прошли через вестибюль и оказались в станции, что это действительно все реально. Это существует. Второе, что меня впечатлило, когда мы оказались на российском сегменте, я полностью увидела, что максимальное соответствие с макетами, на которых мы проходили подготовку. Как будто я оказалась в тренажерах. И это меня очень порадовало. Все выглядело знакомо. И
Well, I will start with the first thing that really impressed and surprised me when I got onto the ISS, right when I flew through the vestibule, is that it's really real. It exists. Here it is. And the second thing is when we got to the Russian segment and I saw everything, I realized that it matches perfectly all of our mock-ups and of all of our simulators. And it was really comforting and reassuring because it was like I was seeing something that I already knew, something that was familiar.
А дальше время просто за практикой. Нам очень здорово ребята предыдущие передали смену, все показали, рассказали. И мы с нашими ребятами, нашим экипажем прекрасно влились в работу. И дальше дело за малым. Просто делать от начала и до конца. И действительно, наше расписание было спланировано с самого раннего утра и до позднего вечера. Работы было очень много. Как по обслуживанию систем станции, так и всевозможные эксперименты и дополнительные работы.
And then the next thing, we just had to practice. So the handover was very smooth. The previous crew really told us how to do everything, explained the ropes, showed us everything, and then we just had to dive into it and begin doing it. And we did it, and we did it well, and it was a really smooth transition. And from morning till evening, every minute of the day was planned out for us. There was a whole lot to do, including both servicing the station and performing all of the experiments.
All right, thank you, Crew-5. Now, we're going to see if we bastard this whole phone technology. We're going to give it one more shot. Let's start with Marvin Marshall with the nighttime news. Marvin?
Awesome. Thank you very much, Dan. Can you guys hear me?
Gotcha.
Gotcha loud and clear.
Awesome. Sounds good. Well, good afternoon. I'm Marvin Marshall from the Nighttime News at Space Report on Twitch TV. My question is for all of you guys here. Could each of you share a hilarious moment?
Hilarious moment. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's every moment was a hilarious moment. But for me, I found out that those guys are really test pilots and engineers, but they are really good at the cooking in zero gravity. And when we are having some holidays, Josh was really good at cutting the cheese for pizza, and Nicole was making adobo with all the dried meat and stuff like that. And Anya is a really great cook of Olivier salad, and I was really good at eating all of them. But I was really impressed with their technique of all the zero-G cooking. So that was a very hilarious moment that I experienced.
The moment that I remember, we laughed really hard when we were up there. One of the ones that sticks in my mind, the NG-18, the Northrop Grumman cargo vehicle that came up, has hundreds, if not thousands, of these gold carabiners that are used to stage the cargo. And they're super useful, so we end up using them on the station for our own purposes. And there was a day, you remember when Frank was working in Node 1, and he had a kind of frustrating task that he was working on. And the ground had a camera looking over his shoulder, which he loves, to have more cooks in the kitchen. And what happened was one of the carabiners had gotten away, and he was dealing with something else. And it is not a big deal. We can go find that. But they alerted him to the fact that he had lost a carabiner, and that was not what he wanted to deal with at that moment. So I took it upon myself about 10 minutes later just to sit in the lab, and I took a gold carabiner and I just sent it his direction at about 3 centimeters a second. And he just continues to work, and somehow he had just moved his head enough that it grazed the back of his hair, but he didn't feel it. And the ground lost their mind again and started yelling, and he's looking around, and I'm laughing so hard because he has no idea where it came from. And so I was the only one who knew where it was. So I grabbed it, and I showed the ground that I had solved their problem. And Frank was 0 for 2, and he couldn't explain to them that I was just messing with him.
That was kind of a recurring theme, Josh messing with us. We were in space. We did laugh a lot. It's hard to choose just one, but I do remember one time we were getting ready, our suits ready for EVA, for Koichi and I to get ready to go out the door. And I had sized the suit, and I put my boots in, and I have small feet relative to the size of the EMU feet. And so I have these inserts that go inside there, but I wasn't able to push it in very good with my hand. So I was like, okay, I need to just get my foot in there to push this insert all the way into the boot, because you want it to fit properly. You don't want to deal with it day of. So I'd say, hey, this is my plan. I'm just going to, put the lower torso on, push my feet in so everything fits fine. Josh says, hey, do you need help? You good? I was like, oh, no, I got it. Like, I'm totally good. Okay, he floats away. So I'm in the airlock. I get the lower torso on. I get my feet in. I get it all situated. Hey, everything's feeling good. Perfect. And then I go, uh-oh. Like, it's really hard to get out of that lower torso, and you don't have anything to push against, and we're usually never getting out of the suit by ourselves. So I realized very quickly, I'm stuck in my pants. And Josh has already floated away. I don't see Frank. I'm like, oh, man, what am I going to do? So I poke out. Koichi's way down, other end of the lab, down in Note 2. Koichi! Koichi! I'm yelling, and it's loud on station. He looks like, I'm stuck in my pants. And I don't know if I'm speaking quickly, or maybe his, primary language is Japanese, but he's like, what? No, Koichi, I'm stuck in my pants. I need your help. And so, fortunately, he helped me get out of my pants. So, thanks.
У меня был забавный случай. Я с собой в космос брала символ моего города Новосибирск, городовичок, маленький мальчик-куколка. И я их брала 3 разных. Одного я сразу забрала с собой на станцию, а 2 с корабля я сразу не забрала. Аня?
I had a funny situation. When I went to space, I brought the symbol of my city, Novosibirsk. It's this little doll. Actually, I brought 3 of them. And the first one I took immediately with me to station, and the other 2 I left in the vehicle for a little bit.
И после этого я вернулась в корабль искать их и не нашла. После этого я еще 2 раза в течение миссии пыталась их найти, не нашла. Я искала во всех вещах, которые у меня были вокруг моей каюты, везде, где только можно. В итоге за всю миссию, за всю нашу продолжительную миссию, я их не нашла и уже мысленно распрощалась с ними.
And so I went back to the Soyuz to get the other 2, and I wanted to have them, and they weren't there. And I looked everywhere. I looked in all of my things. I looked around my crew quarter. I looked and looked and looked, and I came back several times throughout the duration of the mission, and I just couldn't find them anywhere. And mentally, I said farewell to them.
Yes. And finally, и в конечном счете, когда мы собирались домой, мы уже были в корабле, сняли скафандры и собирались спать, уходить в сон. Достали спальные мешки. И вот они, мои 2 городовичка. Они все это время спали в спальном мешке. Всю миссию. Они нашлись, и они вернулись со мной на Землю.
And then it was time to go home, and so we got back into the vehicle. We undocked, got ready to sleep, pulled out our sleeping bags, and there they were. There they were, my 2 little dolls. They were sleeping the whole increment. They slept through it all. Well, I found them, and I brought them back home with me.
All right, looks like we're getting to a couple of follow-ups now. Let's go again to Marvin Marshall with Nighttime Space News. Marvin?
Hi, thank you for taking another question. It's Marvin again here. Now, I'm curious, and this is for, Nicole or Josh and whoever wants to chime in here. How was the sleeping aboard Dragon, and where did you guys all sleep? Did you guys sleep above the display? Where was your, sleeping positions? And, I just want to apologize. My last question got cut off there. But, I really want to extend my heartfelt gratitude to NASA for allowing me this opportunity today. And welcome back to the incredible Crew-5 astronaut. Thank you again.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Sleeping in Dragon was pretty comfortable. I think the going uphill, so for after launch, we had about 29 hours in Dragon before we docked to the space station. We all slept in our seats. And I think I kind of, I slept, but I would always wake up at every jet firing and sometimes turn on a display just to be aware of what was going on. And it was all such a new environment. So it was a very light sleep, I would say. And then towards the end of the mission, once Crew-6 came on board, we turn over our crew quarters to the new crew. And then we're all kind of in a camp-out state. So we move and sleep in a different location. And I had the privilege of sleeping in Dragon during that time. And that was really special, very unique opportunity for me. So it was about a week. And I just slept in Dragon really underneath the seats with one bungee to keep me from floating around. You don't need the support of the seat or anything since you just float in space. But the one thing that was really a treat is that you can wake up in the morning, take the window shade off, and drink your coffee and look out the window and just marvel at our beautiful planet. Watch the sunrise, watch the sunset. That was very, very unique. And then coming back home, I slept underneath the seats again, where I had slept for the past week, and everybody else slept in their seats. Again, I think we all kind of sleep for a couple hours and then, kind of wake up, think about where we're at, what's going on, kind of double check, and then kind of go back to sleep. So I'd say in general it's comfortable, but your mind is not totally at rest because you're about to, return to the planet. So there's a lot going on up there.
I don't remember the part where Anya woke up.
No, that is a true statement. Yes.
She's got some skills.
Sleeper.
It is incredible. I'm jealous.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for us. I want to thank everybody for calling in and sending your questions on social media. To Crew-5, welcome home. It's great to see your smiling faces back here on planet Earth, and it's been a pleasure to work with you over the last couple of months while you were in space. Obviously, their journey's done in space, but they've got a lot of work still to do on Earth. In fact, Josh, I don't know where your sunglasses were. I hope the lights aren't too bright. But, a lot still ahead for them. But 157 days in space. They came home on Saturday. Really great to have you guys. Appreciate you coming and spending an afternoon with us. That is going to do it for us. Continue to follow all of our spaceflight action on nasa.gov and the commercial crew missions to the International Space Station. A lot more coming soon. That'll do it, though. So we'll say goodbye, good afternoon, and farewell.
Thank you.
Thank you.